Everybody's saying GPT-5 in Codex is better than Claude, and I agree. I have used every AI coding tool under the sun, and this specific combo I'm gonna show you guys produces the highest quality code that I have ever seen. Today I'm gonna walk you guys through the exact step-by-step combo that I use to maximize the value out of Codex. To showcase the power of the setup, I'll first explain what makes GPT-5 and Codex so good in the first place. Then we'll build a Next.js app from scratch that uses Google's new Nano banana to help me make a professional thumbnail. We're going to use ChatGPT 5 Pro to design the architecture for us. Then we're going to set up Codex with the proper configuration and MCP tools to one-shot our MVP. By the end of the video, you will have mastered Codex and can integrate it into your daily AI coding workflow. One of the main factors that makes GPT-5 so powerful when it comes to coding is their significant advances in reducing hallucinations and improved instruction following. For reference, this is a chart on the hallucination rate of 03 versus GPT-5. And you can see how drastic of a jump percentage-wise GPT-5 is from 03. And that is nearly, that is a 4% jumps across the board, which is very insane. One thing I've struggled a lot with when it came to coding specifically, just the AI lying about my code base and just lying, bro. When they lie, it makes them not reliable. So GPT-5 does a pretty good job at not lying. What is most nice about using the Codex CLI for this is not only is it open source, but you could also sign in to Codex using your ChatGPT account. So if you already have one subscription, similar to Claude Code, you could just sign in using your ChatGPT account and everything works fantastic. You're using credits given to you from your ChatGPT subscription. The biggest strength that I have noticed, particularly as a TypeScript dev, is GPT-5 is one of the only models that actually respects the types I give it, bro. Like, I have these types in a folder for a reason, and Claude Code will go off and make its own types. Why are you making your own types? GPT-5 in Codex, as well as in Cursor directly, just does a really good job at actually following your types. This is another thing that Claude Code will do that pisses me off, is it will constantly hide lit errors instead of just following the damn types. So GPT-5 doesn't do that, which is great. In general, any coding language that has some sort of type system like TypeScript or Rust, AI does a really good job coding and following, and I strongly recommend only using AI to code if you're using those coding languages, because it just makes your job so much easier. Now, to get right into actually developing the app, I have this very long and specific architecture prompt that I like to use when I am starting a new app from scratch. In this case, I will leave the copy and paste of this whole prompt in the description, but just to quickly walk through it, I have this deep thinking mode little parameter here, which I tell GPT-5 Pro to go into ultra deep system architecture mode. This requires extreme rigor, multi-perspective analysis, and exhaustive verification. And then I prompt it saying that it is a master level system architect with 20 years of experience designing scalable, secure production systems. I ask it to go through our methodology and go through a discovery phase where it asks the user questions, but I don't really want to do that right now, so I'm going to remove this. But I do have it do a research phase where it uses web search extensively, and then the architecture design phase where it then begins to design our product requirement document that we will pass on to Codex, the coder agent, to implement. Now, the most important part of this architecture is the project structure. Having a really good project structure, especially one that clearly defines where your types are, where your utils are, your services, controllers for web apps or any kind of apps we do. Just having a nice structure, having a nice project structure makes it very easy for coding agents like Codex or Cursor or Claude Code to actually work with your code and make it easy to vibe code. Again, this will be in a GitHub page in the description, so I'll link that. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to explain what I actually want. I saw this guy made this node builder for image gen prompts, so I'm like, oh, I wanna see if I could be sneaky and if I could yeah, this looks like a good screenshot. I'm gonna screenshot this. So right now we're in the phase of gathering context. So I'm giving ChatGPT 5 Pro as much context as possible to build this out before we even proceed with the architecture. In this case, this is actually what I want a node-based interface for AI image generation to, yeah, I'm gonna just copy this tweet I just found randomly right now. I want to create a node-based interface for AI image generation. I'm also going to give it more examples of what a workflow builder looks like. So I just found this screenshot off of Google. And then I'm going to give it an example of what I want as a user. As a user, I want to be able to paste in a reference image, then connect a node to it that is a prompt, then have an output of it that comes from the model itself, which I can then go and prompt. I also might want to have multiple outputs or trees of one prompt to explore image generation deeper. So that's kind of the user experience I have in my head, right? Now I have this example from Google's AI Studio where I put in the 3 images and then prompted it and we had a back and forth. What's cool about AI Studio from Google is you could just get the code directly right here. So I'm going to copy the example code of our chat. I'm going to take the cleanup context of the code that Google provides, and importantly, resource. So I'm writing right here, resources to explore. And importantly, I'm going to grab the documentation that Google Gemini returns to us right here, the API docs. That is very important context, and GPT-5 Pro is capable of actually opening these and reading this. Now, I'm just finally requesting that we're using Next.js 15. Very important to write 15. Some of the models get confused with 14 when it comes to Next.js. You're using TypeScript and Tailwind CSS v4, the latest Tailwind. I am telling GPT-5 to keep the app extremely simple using local databases, and this is for an on-computer demo, so I don't need anything stored in a database, just to keep it really simple. Now I'm going to send in this prompt, and I understand that I am using ChatGPT 5 Pro, but this step works just as well with thinking mode. You don't need Pro. If you have the option for Pro, that is highly recommended, especially for production-grade apps, but thinking with this prompt will do just as well. Now, while we are waiting for this to finish up, we are going to go set up our codex. Now, very quickly, I'm just going to create a new Next.js app, call it Nano Banana Thumbnail Generator. And I want to use TypeScript, I want to use ESLint, I want to use Tailwind. I would like my code inside an src directory. I do want to use app router and TerraPack. I don't know what that last one means. And we are going to just set up the Next.js template to get started. Now it's done. Let's go ahead and change directory into it. Now you can install by doing npm install -g at OpenAI Codex. I have Homebrew, so I use brew install Codex. And to run Codex, you just type Codex. Now I already have it installed. I'm going to type Codex. When you log in for the first time into Codex, it will ask you to log in with ChatGPT. I recommend logging in with ChatGPT and not using API credits so you get the most bang for your buck. Now it is asking me if I would like Codex to work in this folder without asking for approval. And yes, I would. I don't really care for it to not ask for approval otherwise. Anyways, here is the biggest first thing you have to do every single time you start up Codex is you have to type /model and switch the model to GPT-5 High. This is the most important step for getting the highest quality output from this Codex combo. Hit enter. Once you actually select the best model to use, because we are in currently a Next.js template app, I'm gonna type /init to create an agents.md file with instructions for Codex. What this is going to do is it is going to go and read our current code base, which in this case is a Next.js template app, and create a system prompt for itself to follow. Our agents.md file is now complete. I am going to open this code base in Cursor just to show you guys what that looks like. So this is what the agents.md file looks like. It's just giving us repository guidelines. It is explaining the project structure and how to run tests and coding style, naming conventions, etc. We'll be adding to this agents.md file once we finish the basic MVP to ensure all features that we build in the future are aligned with the code base. Now going back into Codex, you can see that Codex does have MCP integrations. One of the most vital MCP tools that I use for every single coding agent that literally takes it from 0 to 100 real quick is the Context7 MCP. The Context7 MCP gives any LLM access to up-to-date coding docs for any code base, any library, any framework you're working with. This is very important because agents don't have access to the latest up-to-date docs. So if you just prompt them to make you something, they're gonna piss you off because they're gonna do outdated code, and we don't want that. This allows a coding agent to pull the most up-to-date version-specific documentation with code examples straight from the source. And I will walk you guys through a quick step-by-step guide on how to set that up. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to find and access the Codex Configuration folder. Now, the Codex Configuration folder could be easily accessed by copying this directory path from the Codex GitHub directly. And I like to just open a new cursor window and paste this into the search, which will then open up the config.toml. Now, Context7, if we then search for Codex here, we can see that Context7 has OpenAI Codex guidelines on how to install it. We are going to copy this entire thing it provides to us and paste it into the configuration. Now with Context7, we need an API key, but it's very easy to get one. You would just go to context7.com, go to the dashboard and sign in. Then it will give you an API key to use. So you just copy an API key, go back to the configuration file and paste in your API key right here. Now, if I go back to Codex, restart it and type in MCP, it should see the Context7 MCP loaded right there. Now, just to test if the Context7 MCP works, I'm gonna ask, can you pull up the latest Tailwind docs real quick using Context7? Now we could see it is using the Context7 MCP that we gave it to go through and identify and find the proper code snippets for Tailwind. Now this is very good and gives our agent access to actual proper code. Just keep in mind, Codex does not actually have internet access, which is a limitation right now. Cool. And it just gave us the Tailwind color docs via Context7. It's very nice, very sleek. That was just good for confirmation. I'm going to cancel this. Now, because we just added the Context7 MCP, I want to make sure that I update the agents.md file to make sure that Codex always has the instructions to utilize Context7 before even getting into the code base. So we're going to write this here. I'm just going to put 2 hashtags to follow the markdown that currently exists, and we are going to write, I wrote important instructions before using or writing any code that requires external API docs or libraries. You must use the Context7 tools you have access to pull the latest documentation and ensure your code is up to date and accurate. By writing this in the agents.md file, anytime we prompt it, Codex and GPT-5 should automatically know to use the Context7 MCP to pull the latest documentation. And with that, that is our secret alpha sauce, gang. Trust me, trust me. I just set up Tmux here just so we could have the actual server running on our right side so we could reference it right here as we are working on the code base itself. However, I do want to give one brief heads up, which is very annoying with Codex. Every time you go back to Codex and you open Codex, you have to reselect the model to GPT-5 High. Now, another complaint I have is there is no /resume feature that Claude Code or even Cursor CLI has, which is an annoyance, but because the code base is open source and a lot of people are using it, I do believe that all of these updates will come. And honestly, it's kind of worth the annoyance for now, just because of how good the code output is. Now that we've finished setting up our Codex with the Context7 MCP and a good agents.md file, GPT-5 Pro or whatever coding agent you use to do the architecture should be done by now. We will briefly look through. Yeah, I'm gonna just copy and paste this. We are going to go back into the terminal and I'm going to paste in the architecture. Real quick, ensure that all my types and schemas are completely separated into their own files. Schemas should not be a part of APIs. Cool. Okay, that really should be it. So I'm going to hit enter, and with the proper instructions that we gave in our agents.md file, plus the very high quality architecture and plan that ChatGPT-5 Pro gave to us, I should have a one-shotted MVP app. So we will see what happens in about 5 to 10 minutes, my good sirs and ma'ams. Now it says it is complete. All we need to do is set the Gemini API key in env.local, which I just went ahead and set up right here. Next is telling us to install the new dependencies. However, I did run into an error where I tried installing it and it said there's no matching version found for Google Gen AI specifically. So what I did is usually when something like that happens is because the AI coding agents put in the package.json or in Python the requirements.txt a version that doesn't exist. In this case, it put in a Google Gen AI thing right here that didn't exist. So I just deleted that completely and manually found the proper installs and pasted them in right here, which then allowed us to npm install everything. Now the moment of truth. Does this app work? We run the server. First off, does it run? Okay. It does run. It does run without crashing. Now, if we go on it though, does it work? SSR false is not allowed with Next dynamic in server components. That's okay, we got an error. Seems like we are getting these errors when we try the import. That's okay, I'm gonna just paste in the errors right here and be like, got this error, please fix. I'm gonna just paste that in and let it do some error management, and hopefully there's not too big of errors that it is doing, and it should be able to keep itself in check. So we'll check it out right now. Restarted it, let it fix its own bug. There was only one bug, and now this is what the server looks like. Okay, I could add a reference image, so I could get like a picture of my balloon, and then I guess I could add a prompt here. Okay, I cannot. Bear with me. What if I just write make the balloon blue? So the UI itself is hard to see, but let's just focus on functionality. So I connected this to the prompt, and then can I just generate it now? Will it work? Saying that it's hitting the API. Oh shit! Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, wait, hold on. UI design wise, not the best, but this is exactly what I wanted. Wait, can I add another prompt to this? Can I like add a prompt? Again, bear with me. I know it's white. We could fix that in one prompt, but this is like a one-shot attempt. Now if I write explode the balloon. I'm so sorry. I don't want to explode you. Will this work? So can I just be like, so can I click generate here? And then does it give us back? Saying model output. Okay, so it should be showing something there because it says it came back the generation. So connecting a generation to a generation doesn't seem to do anything. But can I change this prompt and then be like, make the balloon explode and generate? Will that like make a new node? What will it do? Can we do that? Oh, we could generate multiple. Oh my god, I just killed the balloon. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, bro, this is exactly what I wanted. It could use prettying up, but this is exactly what I wanted. So in terms of first initial testing, the app works fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted. I am hyped. If you go through the actual code logic, we could see that it has created the two schemas and the types and the whole page and components and everything we need from that one architecture prompt. Is following the project structure as we described in the original architecture prompt that ChatGPT 5 Pro gave to us. Now, to wrap this up, I am going to go to the terminal and I'm going back to Codex in the same chat. And it's very important you do it in the same chat because remember, there's no /resume command right now, unfortunately. So you got to make sure you do it in the same chat. I'm just prompting it that this code base works great. Can you please write concise but important documentation explaining our tech stack, structure, and core code logic. Anything developers need to know in /docs. All I'm prompting Codex to do is to write nice documentation so that future instances of itself or you or other AI agents could read that and understand the code base logic. It has finished creating the concise but impactful documents in docs/readme.md, and it looks similar already to the agents MD file, but this just again reinforces the tech stack, the project structure, the dev commands. It really kind of just remade the agent.md file but made it more in depth. Now what I'm doing, because it finished writing its readme, I'm literally going to ask Codex to update its own agents.md file. This is when it gets super meta. So as long as we keep it updated per patches and always make sure it's up to date and solid, then it will do a good job at always making sure the agents are following the most up-to-date patterns and core code architecture that makes the job of future instances more reliable and easier. Now, the other very, very important thing that all of you guys should do is push to GitHub. I beg you guys to push your changes to GitHub. Save everything. Please push to GitHub. And then once you do this whole cycle and you push to GitHub, then we could proceed with upgrades. Now, if I wanted to do a quick bug fix, for one, I want to fix the UI, and I also want to fix the bug where I can't view the output of an output. At this point, I could just prompt it. I'm going to do my best to describe what I'm visually looking at because Codex doesn't seem to have reliable image reading, which is kind of annoying. Now, in this case, what I'm doing is just asking it to fix the UI. So this is the third prompt, all right? It was technically a one-shot with minor bugs. I'm still going to count that as a one-shot. What did I prompt here? I prompted 3 things in one. One is I asked to fix the UI and make it so it's easier to see and easier to work with. 2, I gave it information. I give it very specific information of how the bug is working. Specifically this bug where I have the model output come here, but if I connect it to a prompt node, then it doesn't show, right, the output. And I would love to continue this chain and kind of like see the different things that happen. The final thing I asked is to add logging, because as you guys see right here, there is no logging and there's not really any logging in the console directly. So if I wanted to feed context to Codex for debugging, it doesn't really have it. By adding in logs, I am telling it, hey, I want you to log your own context prompts for me. And then prompting it to fix itself becomes immensely easier. All right, it says that it has fixed the chain generation bug, added centralized logging. Now the client logger got added and there is a UI/UX overhaul. Now if we actually launch the app, let's restart this. So I got add a reference image node here. So okay, let's say I want that picture of me, so I could kind of like start making my thumbnail or making our thumbnail live. I could add a prompt, so I could connect these nodes now and add a prompt. I open my logs so we can see what's happening, describe the chain, keep the main subject in focus, make the background a professional gradient red.
Oh, I made my hair look flat and ugly. Is that just how my hair looks in general?
I just like generate multiple and see if I like different ones, see if it does differently. I like this little map we got. I don't know if you guys see this map on the bottom right here. Okay, I guess my hair is just that moppy shit. Anyways, giant text that says better than Claude. Oh, it does. Oh, sick. Cool. There is potential here. Definitely think if I take my time with the app, I can make it look cooler. But overall, it's pretty sick. That is a complete Codex plus GPT-5 Wombo combo setup. I hope you guys have a nice Gemini Nano Banana production app if you followed along. And just generally understand the setup. Everything from this tutorial does not only apply to GPT-5. To be honest, we are at the point where all these models and all these combos are so good now. I can't tell you what a good combo is. You just gotta find something you vibe with, because it is always rapidly changing. And next week a new combo might come out. Claude Code might be king again. Maybe Gemini and their CLI becomes king. Really don't know. It doesn't really matter. Play around with all these different things. I just show you the different tutorials that I find and I like. I still kind of swap between this and Cursor. In fact, I do something weird where I actually would use Codex in the Cursor CLI directly, and then I'll have multiple agents prompt at the same time. So I'll have a Codex instance running, and then I'll have a Cursor agent instance running, and I'll like work on a bunch of things at the same time. But with proper architecture, it becomes really easy to have these insane workflows. Now, if you guys found this video helpful, please subscribe with the notification bell, as I will be posting more cutting edge AI tutorials. Now, I also run an AI consultancy called Agency 42. If you run a business and you would like us to accelerate your operations with AI, hit us up. The site is agency42.co, link in the description. Finally, if you are just a normal AI user looking to get into AI development deeper, I run a completely free AI Discord called Vibe Coders University, where there is a community of 1,000 other students that are just helping each other learn AI with me. There's so much going on. I have helpful things in the Discord server, like a daily AI news channel, as well as helpful videos I find, and anything important I will post in the chat. So that will also be in the description. Join up. Would love to see you guys there, and please leave comments if you guys have any questions. Goodbye.